This is Townsquare Sunday on 1420 WBSM, a place where people come together to talk about some of the good things happening in and around New Bedford. A place to share, a place on the radio for the people.
Come together right now over me.
And now, the moderator of Townsquare Sunday, 1420 WBSM's Jim Phillips.
Good morning and welcome to Townsquare Sunday. 3 guests talking with us today. I'm your host, Jim Phillips. Guest number 1, Jeffrey Santos and Mary Beth Soares of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Now, this coming week begins a series of classes on recreational boating operation and safety. These classes happen every year, but they are worth talking about, reminding folks about, and telling boaters about. Welcome, Jeffrey and Mary Beth.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Jim.
First off, what is the Coast Guard Auxiliary, so people know who they're dealing with?
All right. Well, Jim, thanks again for having us. Coast Guard Auxiliary has been in place for a lot of years. Started in 1941, and tasked by the Coast Guard basically to do what we do is recreational boating safety to the public. Coast Guard has a lot of missions and tasks that they need to do, but this is our main thing. That's what we do. We've been doing it for a lot of years. We teach public education. We do events at different public events that we have people that show up, and we pass out brochures. We do a lot of things like that. So that's our main focus, and that's what we want to talk about today in regards to public education classes.
Sure. And how long has the Fairhaven Auxiliary been around?
That's a good question. You put me on a spot on that, Jim. We've not been around since 1941, but shortly thereafter. So We've been around over about 70 years or so. We are the largest flotilla in the country, by the way.
Wow.
By far.
Wow, that's a feather in your cap.
It is. We have almost 400 members, long-term members. We have members ranging from brand-new members to members who've been around 30, 40 years.
Right. And there's a lot of recreational boaters in our area now, more so every year, I think, now that we've got these marinas, and it's amazing how much that part of the waterfront has kind of grown,
Yes, you'll see that, Jim. Absolutely. Good point, because people may not realize not just fishing boats in New Bedford Harbor, but we have marinas that cater to recreational boaters. The city of New Bedford has worked quite hard in setting up anchorages with different moorings throughout, and they get quite full in the summertime. So, yes, we have a lot of recreational boaters in the area.
Okay, so the classes there's a class starting this coming week. When and where? Maybe, Mary Beth, you want to tackle that one?
It'll be starting this Monday. It runs from 7 to 9 for 13 weeks. It's called Boating Skills and Seamanship, and it's a course for both the novice and the experienced boater. It covers all of the basics in good detail with some very qualified people to help answer questions from that whole range of students. The cost for that is $45. Registration can be done online, but if you miss that opportunity, just come by. Although the class starts at 7, we'd like first night people to come by at 6:30, so registration can be done smoothly.
We have a lot of folks signed up so far?
We've got a good number, but we've got room for more.
Okay. Where are they held?
It's going to be at the Acushnet River Safe Boating Club at 80 Middle Street in Fairhaven.
All right, 80 Middle Street in Fairhaven. So what's being offered this week? What are these classes all about? Did they go beyond rudimentary stuff? And I guess there's more classes coming in the springtime, but tell us about what these classes are.
Begins with simple topics like what kind of a boat is suitable for you, into the rules of the road, which especially with so many novice boaters just getting a boat and thinking they can just go out and start driving around, it's important for us to know the rules that will help everyone be safe out there. Navigation, trailering your boat. Jeff, what else would you add?
I teach the communications, which is like, what's that? But it's simply your boat's radio. So we talk a lot about different things for communications, and we do a lot of relating to incidents that may have happened in the area. Again, we do have a lot of vessels, both commercial and recreational. Unfortunately, sometimes you'll see things in the local newspaper, hear it on the radio of incidents taking place, and we'll take that and we'll relate to say, well, gee, how in your case, how could that apply what we're teaching you? So all these things, whether it's navigating, whether it's trailering your boat, with using your boat's radio, how to different types of life jackets, the flares we talk the whole gamut basically. And the fun one, as we like to do, is the navigation part. That can be like a little daunting initially, but we have instructors who can do this like the back of their hand. And they will take you through and show you that when you're done with that, you can say, wow, I didn't know I could do something like that. So we may even, what other ones that we do have besides
Yes,
those?
we've got one called About Boat Safety, which is a very shortened version of this 13-week class. And it's an 8-hour session on Saturdays, coming up March 31st and May 12th. Essentially a very condensed version of that 13-week.
Safety.
And safety, and yes.
Well, I know you hear. I know you've heard this. I know you have because, some people might say, yeah, I've been boating for years with my father or my grandfather and all of this. We've gone out. We know Buzzards Bay. We don't need to get bogged down in all of this. What do you say to those folks, Jeff or Mary Beth?
Well, what I can chime in on that, Jim, that's a very good point, because yes, we do. We'll have, in this area, you'll have a lot of people who go out early in the morning. They just want to go out and fish. They go out and they launch the boat at the boat ramp, 5 o'clock in the morning. They're back in by 10, 11 o'clock. And they're like, I've been doing this for years. As you said, my father taught me how to do it. How do I know? You can't teach me anything. Well, you know what? Even us as instructors, we're always learning new things, and they may not know the actual regulations. There are federal regulations that must be followed, state regulations that have to be followed, and we always show to them that, you know what, you may even know more than what we do. So in the classroom, we use it as a setting like, hey, get involved. We're not always the experts per se, because we know there's somebody going to be in this class that probably knows more than we do. Please share that. That's what we want to do, is ultimately boating safety. We want to make sure that if something happens, you know what to do on the water.
Even as simple as who's got the right of way in this situation is very important, so everyone is on the same page out there.
And these classes, they will give you, I think you guys have explained really, they will give you the beginning points, novice boaters, all the way to experienced boaters. And it's good to get a reminder, I guess. We've always, you never stop learning, and it's always good to get a reminder. There are new regulations that may come in. Is that correct? There are new things that are said and put down in books, and you gotta learn them.
Yeah. That's one thing we try to keep on top. I know the state, through the Department of Environmental Protection, they run their program also for education to the boaters. It's the different stakeholders that involve, both at the federal level, which we can kind of say we're at as being part of the Coast Guard, but we do it locally too. And then you have other stakeholders involved that we want to applaud all that do this, like the Power Squadron. They do a great job too in regards to doing boating safety classes. So there's a lot of different places to get the information. What we like to say here is that we have experienced boaters who've been doing this for a long period of time. We have a nice intensive course. Yeah, it's 13 weeks long, but pretty much that when you're done with this, that you may think you've known stuff, you're going to learn something new. And like you said, there could be some new regulations that we may be able to bring that out to the forefront to you also.
Mary Beth?
And at the other end of the spectrum, we have a course called Suddenly in Command, for those folks who are just out with their spouse, kids who are out, how to take over if the captain, the person who knows all this stuff, is suddenly incapacitated. How to get the information out to get everyone on that boat back safely. That class is held on a Saturday, May 19th, and it's a 4-hour class. And that one's free to the public. Same location.
You're listening to Townsquare Sunday. I'm Jim Phillips, my guest, Jeffrey Santos, and Mary Beth Soares of the Coast Guard Auxiliary. And they are starting this coming week on Monday night these boating classes. Operation and safety is emphasized. The 26th, again, when and where, Mary Beth?
The Acushnet River Safe Boating Class, 80 Middle Road, Fairhaven, Mass.
Okay. More and more recreational boaters every year in Greater New Bedford have become, it seems that there's more and more recreational boaters, and we've become kind of a recreational, I don't want to say a capital, but to me it's grown so much. You have a top marina, New Bedford, the city marina. There are other smaller marinas around that, Pope's Island, the former Skipper. There are places where you can dock your boat. And what we're seeing more is like luxury boats come in. Every summer there are some luxury boats worth a lot of money. I hope that the people operating those know what they're doing.
Well, we always hope so. Yeah, that's a good point. One thing, maybe just to go in the opposite direction of the larger vessels, one of the types of vessels, and it is still a vessel, is that we're really, really going to concentrate on here in the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and this is something the Coast Guard has tasked us to do, is paddlecraft. Things like kayaks, stand-up paddle boards, that there are, unfortunately, situations where bad things can happen, have had happen. One of the biggest things that we're going to emphasize in the class, and we do this, is that, and you'll see this in local media throughout, right now in the southern part of the states, where you'll have a kayak that washes up on shore and no identification. Well, what happened? We don't know. We provide the ability for that particular person to put on their kayak, their paddlecraft or stand-up paddleboard, a little sticker, who to contact if this is found, so that the Coast Guard does not have to deploy all kind of assets all over the place. Costs a lot of money to do that, and who knows. So that's we're really going to concentrate on paddlecraft this year also.
All right. Is there evidence that many people are operating boats that have not had any training? Now, we've talked about those folks who go to training and say, "Jay, I don't need to learn it," or "I don't need, I'm all set." But I suppose we see that, putting aside kayaks, I suppose we see these kind of boating mishaps quite a bit, where people aren't able to function or don't know what to do or think they know what to do but really don't.
You get that quite a bit. I know the Coast Guard does do a lot of studies. They do compile a lot of statistics in regards to recreational boating safety over the years. They do put out a report in regards to different statistics in regards to mishaps that have taken place. Have those mishaps had any type of fatalities involved and all that? So they look at that very closely and see, and that to infer that, yeah, there are situations where a lot of these boaters just don't have the proper training. And in some states, there are different laws and regulations in regards to what is required for boating, too. So it's not exactly the same throughout all the different states of the country, not at the federal level. But again, yes, training is so important just to know what's going on out there so that you're ready in case something does happen.
Among the folks who do sign up for training, Mary Beth, do you see a specific skill that they lack? What is the number one thing that they might not know?
There's a whole gamut of people who come to us, some who are just curious about it, thinking about buying a boat, some of them who have invested in a boat without any thought to education until seeing an ad for a course and think, oh, that might be a good idea. So I don't know that there's a specific thing that people are looking missing when they come to us.
Yeah. Mary Beth puts out a good point with that, but you would be surprised sometimes that they may not know what they don't know, is what it comes down to.
Picture too.
So we'll start talking about something in a particular class of the course, and you'll see like a light bulb goes off and they say, aha, I didn't realize that.
Like checking the weather report before you head out.
Before you head out. Good to know
knowing
the weather,
what to expect on foggy days and making sure you know where those rocks are and those shallow areas are.
Absolutely.
It's they may not know what they don't know. That
like that.
Probably is very true. Well, is there a website that people can go to get more information about these classes?
Yes, there is, Jim. I know it's a long web address, not too long. We have our IT people here trying to shorten it up a little bit, where that's in the progress. But here's the web address.
User-friendly, but go ahead.
It is www.a0130605.uscgaux.info. Go to that site, click on the public education link. That'll bring you to the page that shows the courses that are available, and on that page, there is a way to register for the course.
Leave it to the government.
Leave it to the government.
Webpage.
We're
Well
working
said.
on it.
How about cgboatsafety.org? How about that?
Well, I can't tell you what we're looking to do, but we're going really simple, so hope we'll get approval on it soon, and we'll get that out there.
We hope so. All
There
right.
is a Facebook page,
Great.
so for folks who might be up to that,
All right.
and probably a simple Google of Fairhaven Auxiliary might lead you there.
Okay.
But regardless of going, come the first night, and you can register for any of these courses.
The classes start Monday.
The 13-week class starts Monday night at 7 o'clock. Come
This-
at 6:30 for registration that first
The
night.
show airs on Sunday, so tomorrow this class starts. And what time and where once again?
7 to 9. Would you give the address?
The location is at the Acushnet River Safe Boating Club, 80 Middle Street in Fairhaven.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey, and thank you, Mary Beth, for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Both of the Coast Guard Auxiliary for getting the word out about boating safety. Good reminders for all recreational boaters. You don't know what you don't know.